and became almost somewhat of a meme for something that just fails within, like, what was it, 7 weeks or something of that sort. 7.5 weeks, I think.
I was just going to say, I think Gordon's hit upon a quite valid point. I mean, I would look back to Vista and the Mojave experiment.
Yeah, they use the word everything now. They 7-wash everything. I wrote with lots of examples of even the embedded platform that they have. They call it like Windows Embedded 7 or something of that sort. They have Phone 7, they have Windows 7, and they try to capitalize on the fact that they had a successful marketing campaign. Trying to sell Vista again as something else. It's trying to do this kind of experiment of, if we fix some bugs and we abandon completely this word called Vista, we pretend it never existed, and we go back to Windows and we call it Windows 7. Then 7 is going to be the identifier of the operating system. It's just going to be a number. It's not going to be the number of the year. It's just going to be 7. And they start to basically paint everything 7 because people will associate that with a success or with something that's the, things are improving now for the phones because it's got the number 7 on it. But it didn't work. And actually, I think that what they did now with Windows Phone 7, that's just going to plague them in some sense because the number 7 is now going to be associated with something which sounds kind of similar to Windows 7, and it's actually a real disaster when it comes to sales.
Yeah, I think the Mojave thing was interesting.
So do you say it's Mojave? I always pronounce it Mojave.
No, it's a Mexican word. The J is silent. It's Mojave. It's a cactus, I think. It's like a plant.
Oh, yeah,
beautiful plant. There's agave as well, which it's pronounced agave, or it's written agave.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently that's one of the key ingredients in tequila. But it's Mexican. It's silent V, I think. It's Mojave anyway. It's a Mexican word, Mexican plant.
Well, there you go. TechBytes, the show you learn things on. Thank you.
But yeah, and Mexico's a great country. I've been there on holiday. But anyway, set that aside. The Mojave thing was actually interesting. That was another one of these like hidden in plain sight things from Microsoft, where the whole Mojave thing, for people that don't know, it was when Vista was panned, when people rebelled against Vista and they said, we don't want it, they decided, instead of saying, right, okay, we'll learn from that and we'll rebuild, what they decided to do was deceive people, and then make an advert out of deceiving people, and then gloat about being able to deceive people. They said they got critics of Vista into their own offices, and it's all hidden cameras and stuff, and they interviewed people beforehand to say all sort of leading questions, or you didn't like Vista, can you tell me why you didn't like Vista, sort of market research type of thing. And then they gave them, I think it was like an hour, with pre-set up operating systems. They said, this is Microsoft's, just a little sneaky preview just for you of Microsoft's new gleaming Mojave operating system, and we want to hear your feedback because we've listened to you and we want to see what you think about our new Mojave operating system. And it was a new UI and stuff like that. And then all the Mojave machines were set up, presumably with top of the line super spec hardware, primed and tweaked from hundreds of Microsoft engineers going all over it, making sure that all the drivers were working and everything was all tickety smooth and all that. And then they had like an hour in the company of like a Windows demonstrator type of thing to point them out and saying, well, if you want to do this, try this and all that. And then after that, they sat them down again and said, so what do you think of Mojave? So, it's fantastic, it's great. And then they pulled the rug out and they said, ha, it's actually Vista with a new skin. And it's like, and that was the whole point of the thing. It was like, there's no such thing as Mojave. Mojave is just smoke and mirrors. It's a deception. It's actually Vista. And that to me says the result of that. What was the result of that? Well, Windows 7 were living it. That was their experiment. We are actually big enough and powerful enough to fool you, and actually advertise that we're fooling you, and then after that advert, we then change the name again, and we fool you again, by releasing it onto the wild, called Windows 7.
It's I mean, the thing was, and I mean, in my view, the other thing always was about Vista. Presentation-wise, in the shop or on television or on an advert, it looked great and it worked well and everything was smooth. But in the real world, when you took the thing home and installed it on real specifications and a diverse range of specs, that's when the cracks started to show, and I think that was the problem. I mean, we had so many people. And there was so many people calling liars of the users that said that there was a problem with Vista those many years ago. I think I mentioned it before. There was a complete denial of any issue with Vista. And even now, there's still in some quarters people denying that there was any issue and it was a great operating system. And I think I saw one advocate describe Vista as a gift to the world. It's certainly a gift that I didn't want to keep, and it was certainly one that I wanted to take back to the shop and get a refund. But it did me a favour in one respect because it convinced me to go 100% Linux in the home. So for that, I suppose I've got to thank Vista for a better operating system. But that being said, what we'll do is, sticking on the mobile phone related subjects for a minute, I want to just talk quickly about Angry Birds, which I believe Roy posted a link for to an article earlier today, and there's been a lot of talk about Angry Birds not coming to the Linux platform. So I just wanted to run it past you two gentlemen to see what your views were, because I can't understand what all the fuss is about, having got Angry Birds on the HTC Desire on Android. And yes, it's reasonably fun, and it's something that you can play while sitting on the train. It's nothing that we haven't seen before, and I can't see see a decent reason why it should be coming to my Linux desktop anyway, because I don't know if it translates very well to a keyboard and mouse on my desktop. It was always seemed to be more preferable to use a touch screen, have that type of interface to play that game. It's been on the PlayStation Network for, I think, quite a few weeks now, and I've never had any desire to get it off there. So really, I was just going to throw it past you two if you've played the game, just to see what all the fuss is about, really. Roy, Gordon?
I think there is a culture around the game, culture which is based on the fact lots of people talk about that. And we had this discussion before about how certain films gather the momentum to become some kind of a cultural necessity. People have to be part of the discussion, and they have to know the film to be part of this discussion. And this is one of those games that become like a game you can brag about, and you can pass the people your scores or your status in the game, and they understand what you're talking about. One of the examples of these games would be things like World of Warcraft. So people, let's say quite a few millions of people would appreciate the fact that you spent some time playing the game, perhaps, and gain some status and gain some inventory or whatever. Actually, there are more games than that. There is this game called Facebook. There is this game called Twitter, and the objective in these games is to gain more thing that's called like friends. Don't know if it's friends, just friends, whatever. That's the score. And people play these games, and they spend a lot of time in these games because it's a currency people kind of have an understanding for. If you go to a person and you say to him, "I've got two Rogers," right? But what is a Roger? You don't really know what it means. But if you say something like, "Oh, I've got 20,000, Facebook friends," people say, "Oh, wow, that's a lot of friends. You've got a lot of influence. You're an important person." And this is the same thing with these computer games. Sometimes we want to find a different sort of dimension in which to wage this kind of an ego war, and some people use these games to do that. And Angry Birds, I think, was very fortunate. I did get to play that before. It got to the point where people know what the game is, and lots of people play the game. They know how to read the scores. They can speak about levels that they reached, and whether it's fun or not fun, I think it's just to know that your friends played that too, and that matters a great deal.
Yeah, but sorry, go on.
There's one key thing here about all games, regardless of the platform, is they are pastimes. They are designed wholly to pass the time. So if you're sitting waiting on a phone call and you don't want to start anything on the computer, you can fire up something like Solitaire. I used to call that Patience when I was growing up, playing it with the real cards. But people call it Solitaire, whatever. There's Sudoku, there's lots of little flash games that don't really have any meaning other than to pass the time. And Angry Birds is one of those. It's very visual. I mean, I've never played it. I've seen a few videos and stuff. But people sitting on the train, waiting, got 5 minutes to to their stop, and they're bored, after a day at work. I'll just bring out the phone and a quick game of Angry Birds. And as soon as their stop comes up, they can just shut it down and go. It's no problem.